Welcome back to the podcast. This is like a short episode, probably episode 1.5 or something. It just needed to talk about something, and I know the fans in Michigan are very passionate about this, even if you're not in the state anymore, but Michigan State and Michigan football. I mean, we saw the bowl results, not good at all, but it's a theme that's been rolling throughout probably the past 3 years for both squads. I'll get into Michigan first. It's pretty simple. Your coaches can't win a big game to save his soul. I mean, day in and day out, you guys have a schedule set up to where you beat a few good teams, you'll be in the right position because the fan base is so prevalent and it's so popular that you just win a couple of games, you guys are always going to be in that conversation of that Final Four. Particularly this year, you had a chance to go to the Final Four, for sure, no doubt. All you had to do was beat Ohio State, and then that Big Ten championship game would have even solidified your position even more. And again, that's a big game, right? You win that game, everyone knows you're probably going to go to the Final Four for the playoff. You're going to get in. Turns out, you don't just get blown out. You just get absolutely just shellacked, for lack of a better, but it's unbelievable. The team is supposed to be having this wonderful defense, this D coordinator that's an absolute guru. And we're told all this stuff, right? And we're told all this stuff because you beat teams that are subpar in the Big Ten or in your non-conference, which is, by the way, non-existent. And then you have the stats to back it up, right? But then the teams that have real offenses, you get absolutely blown out. And it's kind of comical because not only in big games does your coach not show up, but also your defense doesn't show up. Now, if that's a supposed strength of yours, that's a given, but no. You give up that many points in that situation and in that, like, how much is on the line, it's kind of embarrassing. No, it is embarrassing. Now, it's one thing to lose that and maybe, carry in getting a couple big wins. But even in the bowl season, I know it doesn't matter if you're not in the Final Four. I'm one of the guys like, hey, if you're not in the Final Four, your season doesn't really matter. But I think it's significant for the coaches as much because it's a morale thing. I mean, these guys lost, I think there's a stat where they lost 2 of their final games. I think like 2 years in a row or 3 years in a row or something ridiculous. And that's significant. But then you're going to have this continued bravado and you're going to have this continued, like, the next year is our year, the next year. And the class of 2019 just signed, and Michigan's obviously top 5 in recruiting, and we're all told about these 5-star guys and everyone, but it's just, it doesn't matter because you see who's the coach. He just looks lost, absolutely lost. I don't know half of the time what the offense is doing. I mean, they're not gonna rack up 30 points a game, and that's a problem, right? Because if you're gonna go in a shootout, it's over. I mean, you saw the Florida game; they just could not go blow toe to toe or blow for blow. And yeah, that's the basis of all those issues. Is like you're gonna have this continued arrogance, and you're gonna have this sustained, I guess, thinking that you're better than everyone else. But in reality, just look at the stats, right? You don't win a big game in like 5 years, right? Brady Hoke looks like a better coach than Jim Harbaugh, and that's just straight fact. So this is stuff where, in my opinion, I think he should be out after this abysmal season, because when are you gonna have a chance to beat Ohio State? When are you gonna have a chance to beat Michigan State and Penn State? Because this year was an off year for the Big Ten. As you see, nobody got into the college football playoff. So after next year, there has to be some sort of heat, and I know he's the guy, and he's just supposed to be that dude. But in my opinion, he's not. And you're seeing that. All right. Now to Michigan State. Now, Michigan State frustrates me big time because instead of having a defense that doesn't show up or a coaching staff that doesn't show up, they have an offense that's just non-existent. And their defense is, and if anyone's watched them play can agree, they are a top. In my opinion, they're the best defense in the country, if not 1, 2. They have NFL talent across the board. They got a cornerback, Justin Lane, going to the NFL. And they got Josiah Scott, All-American. He'll be there soon. And then you also have in the safety position Kari Willis, in my opinion. I think he'll be in the league. And you have Joe Bacci, linebacker, and then Raekwon and Kenny Willekes in the D-line. So you have literally every single, position within that defense. You got talent all over, and you saw it throughout the season. They shut down premier offenses. That's what they did. And if Michigan State's offense actually had a pulse, they would have went a lot different than 7-6. And you win a couple of those. I remember the Ohio State game, it was toe-to-toe, Michigan game toe-to-toe, and the Arizona State game toe-to-toe, and the offense is like, where was it? And it just goes back to, I really, really, really believe that the fact that in the past 3 years, in 2016-17, you have 23 points per game. Not good at all. That's not even top 50. That just barely made top 100. The next year you went 24.5 points a game, and that's not even top 50 again. And then the next instance, this year, 18.7 points per game. Like, that's embarrassing. Like, are you kidding me? You're a premier program that's gone on the college football playoff, which is not easy to do. You've won numerous championships. You've won big games. You've upset big teams, and this is going to be your output, especially nowadays in college football. It's embarrassing. This year, they only scored 26 total touchdowns. 26. Just to give you a comparison, Ohio State within the Big Ten scored 74 total touchdowns. But that's ridiculous. And just to give you further into the narrative, Oklahoma, the number one scoring team in the nation, 85. So it's not even like you're in the same zip code. And I'm not asking for you to be an Oklahoma or an Ohio State type of offense. I'm just asking for a top 50 offense. That's not hard to do. You have teams, if you look at the list up and down, it's like, okay, that's not bad. And it falls in the hands of D'Antonio because he's got to realize, like, hey, we have a premier defense most years than not. Could you imagine if we coupled that with an offense that's explosive? It'd be mind-blowing. With that said, you got Jim Bowman and you have blanking on the name here. You got Jim Bowman and as well as let's just check right now. Dave Warner. Sorry, Dave Warner and Jim Bowman. I can't forget his name. Those guys are just clearly inept at their jobs. It's not uncommon in the college football game. Like, hey, you're having a bad year offensively, go pay a guy $750K to $1 million. Get an offensive coordinator that has a pulse on what's going on. These guys have no consistency within their play calling, and you see, like, in my opinion, you have a talented quarterback in Lewerke, and they shot his confidence. I don't know if he's going to recover. And it's like one of those things where it's like, you got to know your quarterback, you got to know the confidence levels, you got to know what plays to run. It's just embarrassing. Along with the offensive coordinators, you got an offensive line coach. Like, come on, man. Like, we haven't ran the ball well in literally 2 years, 3 years almost since Langford. And then you also have, you got no protection most times than not against good defensive lines. And everyone could say you got injuries here and there. I don't want to hear it. Everyone has injuries. You shouldn't look that bad. You pride yourself on depth. Play calling should be consistent. Plug and plug out, right? It's frustrating. It really is frustrating. So in my opinion, they just got to change their offensive staff, because if they don't, I'm not seeing this offense play again. I can't see them put up 7 against Rutgers, or 7, 14, whatever it is against Rutgers. I can't see them not scoring more than 20 points a game. That's not a lot to ask for. It's a given to put up 30. Literally, they're handing you 30 right there. Just run some complex concepts and execute them. You got the premier talent and the coaching staff to get these players up to that standard. It's embarrassing. That's the end of it. Those are my recommendations. I think Michigan can't win a big game. They haven't shown that. If Harvard doesn't show you can win another big game, you should be gone. Simple as that. You guys should want that. You guys should ask for that. You guys want to win? This is how you win. And the Michigan State, D'Antonio's got to make this call. He's got to say, hey, Dave Warner, Jim Bowman, you guys are done. You guys are done. The offensive line coach, you're done, dude. Mark Stain, you're out. You haven't produced. this isn't a business where you make friends, right? You're just trying to win championships and bring in revenue through the school. If you don't know if you've seen the attendance for Michigan State the past couple of years, it's been abysmal. If the fans realize, like, hey, this team is I'd rather watch paint dry. You know what I'm saying? I watched the Maryland game, and yeah, you know, it was a pretty Michigan State game. Ran the ball, and then luckily they cracked one, and the game was done. But like that game could have gone either way if Maryland executed on any one of their plays. So that's my recommendation. We'll see what happens. This week should be interesting because I think this is when they make decisions if they're going to keep the staff or not. But yeah, thank you for watching. And yeah, we'll see you next time.